Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where tonight's going to be a very fun and exciting night. We got Jesse in the house. Johnny is in commission. He will be back here shortly soon. Hopefully, maybe. We never know. But
Never know.
word around the street is it's a possibility.
He's doing well, though.
Good. That's
It's
what
not
it's
like
all
he's
about.
broke his fucking leg or some shit. like
Yeah.
me, so.
Yeah, you were only out for like a week or two, so it wasn't too bad. But I want to thank all of our iTunes and Spotify and whatever podcast outlet that you're listening to, people, or friends that we have listening via that way. Thank you for tuning in to Talk Junkies. We appreciate that every single week. If you're listening on YouTube, I appreciate that. The best thing you can do for Talk Junkies right now and where we're at, because we're fighting YouTube's algorithm super hard, and probably even iTunes and Spotify, who knows, extremely hard. So the best thing for us would be if you guys could just share it and like it and all that good stuff. It would be much appreciated. But anyways, tonight's going to be a very interesting night. Just real quick, this upcoming Sunday, and I'll upload either Monday or Tuesday, we have Andrew Holick. He's going to be joining Talk Junkies. He's been on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, discussing lucid dreams and meditation and yoga and stuff like that. I've listened to a few of his, a little bit of his work. I have his book. I need to start reading it a little bit more. Very interesting guy. So we're going to do a deep dive into meditation and lucid dreaming. So I'm really excited about Sunday.
That'll be good, man. I've always enjoyed the lucid dream talk, just because if anybody out there has ever had a lucid dream, you'll find it interesting. Just because lucid dreams are crazy shit.
They are. It is
Really, really crazy stuff
And
that
we've-
happens.
And we've talked about in the podcast before that you're never really taught meditation at all, like growing up in the Western society. And I think that having him on and having this type of discussion on what the possibilities are, if someone were to take the time every day to try and lucid dream and progress that part of your life, something that you've never really even thought of or even tried to enhance, how beneficial it could be for you. Because the times that I've tried to lucid dream, and whenever I first found out about it, of course I took it serious. And when I say serious, for me, it's like maybe a week. And I didn't really put enough time into it to understand what it was and what it could be. But the time that I did put into it, I did have a few lucid dreams, very exciting, very eccentric, very, deep emotional dreams. So I think it's something that, people should definitely look into.
Just because it's fun as shit.
Controlling your dream.
Well, yeah, realizing you're in a dream and knowing that you're dreaming, and then now you are almost kind of like a god, basically, of the realm that you have put yourself in, and it's only for a short period of time. I tend to do a lot of jumping, flying, stuff like that, right when I can realize that, along with some other very male level shit, but that's fine. I tend to go down that route, that the shit you just can't do in normal life. If you lucid dream, you can literally do it, obviously, even though it's just an hallucinogen in your mind that's making that happen. But still really, really fun shit to do and experience.
And that's the thing. In Western society, we haven't really tapped into that. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. Like when you go to other third world countries or countries that are developed but not, like if you go to India, wouldn't call that, Western society, would you?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they they're into Hindu, isn't it? In India?
You have Taoism and then you have Hinduism.
Are there Buddha, right?
Buddha is... Fuck, man.
I can't remember what India is. I think they're into Hindu is what India's into.
Yeah. Yes.
But
yes.
I mean, you look...
that's correct. But then you also have Taoism, and you have monks on both sides. Man, I don't want to screw anything up here.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really well-rounded on this subject, but what I'm saying is I think that
the turning scrolls and the bells and the red robes, and you talk about they always have the what's the guy that's reincarnated, almost kind of like the Pope, but for Hindus, the Dalai Lama. So you have the Dalai Lama, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that's Hinduism there, but Taoism's very close to that, and I don't want to get them switched around, because Taoism's also very close. Like the yin and the yang is like Taoism.
Right. But I think within these cultures, they actually, they take serious meditation and dreaming
and
stuff like that, something that we never do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder what life would be like, and I've always wondered this, if the United States were to teach people at a young age what meditation and lucid dreaming and trying to enhance that part of your life, what would it change?
That's got to be the difference, because you have the Buddha and then you have the Dalai Lama. Maybe that's like separate, or maybe Buddha is technically like reincarnate of the Dalai Lama. I don't know, but their big thing is like one of the two. Either Taoism or Buddhism talk about enlightenment only comes through meditation. So like the Buddha like sat underneath a tree and meditated. That's how he gained enlightenment. It wasn't through physical experience with things and gaining knowledge about how to interact with people. He was like physically meditating is what gained him his wisdom, which I guess he had to apply a little bit of that too. But for the most part, like that's how he gained enlightenment and was able to quit being reincarnated and transcend to the next level, was through meditation, is kind of how their religion goes.
That's legit though. I mean, because it's something that you know about and you can do it, but you don't. You know, like you don't wake up, or you don't wake up, I don't wake up, and we don't meditate, or before we go to bed, we don't do it.
They had that Buddhist monk in protest of, and I cannot remember what it was, but literally lit himself on fire in protest and sat and meditated and gave his life up for a movement. And was lit on fire. Yeah, have you not seen this? Yeah, I will show you the video. It's all over the internet. But this Buddhist monk in protest of it was a human rights movement. I can't remember exactly what it was, but sat in this square, and these other monks literally lit him on fire. And all he does is sit there and meditate throughout his, and like he is literally burned to death. And then but him just being like this absolute, it's weird. Like people will be like, oh man, he's a psychopath. He's sacrificing, or he's committing suicide. He is sacrificing his life. That way people will start to, he's like trying to shed light on this. He's like, this is more important than my life. So I'm going to sacrifice my life for the betterment of like everyone else. It was a very much a sacrificial thing, not like a suicide thing. I should have more information on this, because this is crazy. You have not seen this?
I think I've heard of it, but I've maybe
seen
watched
the video.
Yeah.
It's very intense. He does not move. He does not open up his eyes.
Is his body still where it was positioned? Never mind. I'm thinking of something different.
Yeah, no, this is something different. He lays just cross-legged and meditates, and then all these other monks light him on fire. And then he literally burns to death and then doesn't move from his meditative position.
And whenever you're in that position, you're on fire. That's some deep shit, man. To be able to meditate and not feel that, or if you feel it, not to move or anything like that.
And they've actually done studies to where meditating actually doesn't prevent pain so much. You actually feel pain more intensely for the short period, but you're able to endure it longer, like kind of thing. You feel it intensely, but you're so, like, your mind is so
That's the
solid
thing. That's the thing.
it.
He's meditated for so long that he can endure whatever pain that comes his way.
But
so Eric DeBay came out with a video yesterday, just kind of about at the beginning stages it was of meditation, and he made a good point. And just a layman's term on how to like kind of put it is, like you have a black belt in jiu-jitsu or in karate. It doesn't mean you've mastered what it is. That you've mastered it. You'll still continue to try and better yourself at what it is. But it's just imagine trying to get a black belt in meditation or in yoga or in that type of practice, and you reach that level of a black belt in something like that, how profound that is. Because right now, you and I are white belts. Probably not even that.
Yeah, we haven't even put on the gi yet.
Exactly.
If you're having that reference. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. In a reference point of view, we're not even a white belt. And most people, I would venture out to say probably 99% of people in America are white belts when it comes to meditation and yoga. I
felt really good after meditating. The only time that I really took it seriously, I used an app that I'm not going to mention because they're not sponsoring us. But I used an app that's fairly accessible to everybody. And it actually, like, I would work out, I would go home, and then, like, right after I got out of the shower, I would then have my meditation, like, fresh out of the shower. And then this is, like, right before I started studying for my CPT and all that for the day. I wanted to get my mind right. So I had my body right. Like, in the morning, I would eat whatever I was eating that was, healthy as shit at the time, which it was very healthy. Then I'd go to the gym and I'd work out really hard. Then I'd come home, I'd shower. And then, I was like, now that I've worked on my body and my body portion is out of the way, now I need to focus on what my mind is doing. So then I would start, like, meditating. And I would, and I'd go through this guided meditation that was on this app, and they'd take you through the breathing exercise that would like take you from like the top down, would calm me down a lot. Mainly, coming off my pre-workout that I was taking at the time, because I was such a bro at the fucking gym. I definitely was one of those guys that was jacked up on pre-workout and lifting real heavy and being loud at the gym. So that was like the nice like come down from that. And then I'd do my meditation for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, which is really difficult. Really, really difficult because you just want to almost start doing something else. Because how our minds are trained, we just need stimulus, like different stimulus, like constantly. It's really difficult just to sit there and be alone with your thoughts for a while and have that an attempt to control your thoughts, because it's literally impossible. Because the second you get told not to, hey, be calm, don't think about what's happening outside of the room, the dog barking outside of the room. That's all you're going to focus on then.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really, you only get like moments of like little bits of clarity, where moments to where you have that little bit of blankness, but then immediately like you come back to it. But within that moment of like blankness is a really nice, almost spiritual level resetting kind of your mind. And I really enjoyed it whenever I was doing it on a near daily basis.
So do you think that like within that, because we talk a lot about ego here on the podcast, and I think a lot of people, we all deal with ego, and whenever you put like the 2 and 2 together in meditation and that type of thing, or even lucid dreaming, like our ego will always get in the way. And I think like in the Hindu and the Buddha type of meditation, the biggest part of that is getting rid of your ego and letting go of that in the moment, or even possibly in the future. I'm not entirely sure. I've never really looked up on those two types of groups, but it's all ego, getting rid of the ego and meditating to get rid of the ego. And what I was curious about you saying is like you're super hard into this working out and making your body super like just like it's ego at that point. Like your ego is so big.
That was ego for me.
But when you meditate and you eventually get to that level, could you imagine what that would have done to you to get rid of your ego while you're working out in that moment? Like,
I don't know. I should have went way more into it. But a lot of things as far as the ego goes and what they talk about, it also has a lot to do with wanting, and it's about not wanting if you really get down to it. As far as like happiness goes, a lot of it for me was like I was just trying to be happy. So I've only done like 99% of the things that I've done in life because it's making me happy, like momentarily kind of thing. And I realized, man, that brings you down a bad road if you're just trying to do things momentarily to make you happy. More longevity things as far as what makes you happy is a lot better, but what they talk about, which I could never do, it sounds great, but just giving up all once, which is what these monks do, getting rid of like the want for money, the want for all these things, the want for fame, the want for attention, the want for all that. Once you get rid of it,
it's almost like the 7 deadly sins, right?
Yeah, you just get rid of the want for it. Like, I don't want it anymore. I don't know how you train your shit to think to not want, but I mean they spend years on this, so I'm assuming that they have like a good semblance of, you know, how to go down that road to be able to do it. But living in America, it's almost impossible to live like a monk's lifestyle, because then you'd be homeless. And then it's at some point you have to, you know, eat food and shit like that. But that's supposedly where happiness really comes from.
But does it really take that? I mean, is it really not possible in the way our society is shaped? Because you talk about working out, and when you took it serious, and it's something you did all the time. Yeah. And I know, like, when people think
it's not something I did all the time. It's something that I
made you happy.
You can't work out all the time. You know what
I
mean?
You worked out every day. You had a regiment. You did it. You never
only an hour. It was only like an hour and a half a day. But
you took it seriously.
My life was revolved around that hour and a half.
I know,
day.
But look at the results that you had. Your body was the best it had ever been in its life. Minus maybe you dropped too much fat. I don't know. But
I did. My testosterone levels got a little too low because I went a little too hard on it.
Right.
My testosterone levels got a little too low.
But there was a point in time where you probably would have been okay. And you looked great. You were feeling great. That might have been my first sneeze ever on the podcast. I don't think I've ever sneezed before. That's weird.
It's that time of year, though.
Yeah,
Spring.
but anyways.
We have to scroll through the 8,000 hours of podcast.
Yeah, no shit.
Out the last time you sneezed, man.
But imagine, and I think I've said this before, imagine if you, instead of putting that time, and the thing is you have to enjoy it. And who's going to enjoy sitting down and trying to not want those things that you talked about? It takes time. It takes baby steps. Just like if you were to buy into, what's his name? That's on 710 Radio. You love his book, the financial guy. What's his name?
Oh, Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. Instead of like in putting all your time into investing in money and paying off debt, do the same thing, but with meditation and see where it takes you. Because I think if you were to, and I'm not telling you you're not going to want, like, get rid of all these wants that you have, because for everyone it's going to be different.
We can't all be Buddhist monks. And I think
Exactly.
a Buddhist monk would even say that too, because they're really wise. If everybody in the world was Buddhist monks, they'd be like, well, there's, what would make it interesting? It's a very much a human thing to have this diversity, which also brings in a lot of like the inverse. You know what I mean? I think about inverses a lot. I hope I'm not like going too far off.
You're
from what
fine,
you were
man.
talking about.
You were good.
I think about inverses all the time. It bothers the shit out of me, to be honest with you. Like the big one that we've all seen throughout time is, how do we know that there's good if there is an evil? You know what I mean? So you have to have that. I mean, that's a really big, broad one that everybody knows, because you have to have something to compare it to. No matter what, you always, whether or not morally you consider it good or bad, you need an inverse of something for it to almost even exist, especially on a moral level. Any morals or emotions, whenever it comes to morals or emotions, and like spiritual aspects, you almost have to have, if you're having a feeling, there has to be an inverse of that feeling there. Because then,
Do you think that that's societally driven though? Like
no, I think
based
that's
upon?
I think that's a very
But think about it like this.
given human thing.
But
I think that's a part of us being human, is the fact that we have these inverses.
so we understand that the human being wants to be rich and greedy. Like that's just inherently in us, that we're going to be rich and greedy.
Not mean. That's not mean.
But if you ever were to get to that point, you don't know.
Like I've never really given a shit about that.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe a bad example.
Dude, there's plenty of people who don't, like, this might surprise a bunch of people out there, but I really, like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to go hungry. I don't want to not have, like, even though I talk about finances on this podcast, I don't need $1 million right now. Like, no, I own my car, I have a house to live in, I have my computer. I can literally do, like, I don't need a fucking Ferrari. There's going to be so many people out there listening to that be like, who have Ferraris and be like, oh, well, you just don't want to fucking work for it. No, that's not the fucking case. I enjoy experience more than anything else. This is what I've learned of myself over like the 30 years that I've lived, is that I don't need physical things. I love experience of things. I love talking to fucking people like how we do on the podcast. I love going to places. The experience has way more weight to me than something I could ever physically own. Like, I'm not a memorabilia kind of guy, but I love, like sports. I don't you know what I mean?
Okay, so maybe you could be the exception to the rule, but again, there's balance, like you said.
There's plenty of people like me too. It's just we don't talk about it because we're not material. Like, I'm not super materialistic.
But with the subject that you brought up before that, the inverse, like to what you're describing it within yourself, there is that opposite with what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, okay, so maybe it doesn't matter what the percentage is, but we've all been fed a narrative, whether we like it or not, and whether we all want to believe it or not. The narrative is, there's been an over-controlling, overarching theme that has run this society or this world for who knows how long.
Or keep it to America. So
yeah, we'll go to America, and at that point, who know? So I like that you talk about the inverse, whether it's, there has to be an inverse. There has to be good or bad.
Good luck finding one that doesn't have an inverse.
But how do we know that,
right?
When we've lived in this type of society for over 100 years? So what's to say that everyone turns into a monk, or at least tries to, or let's say everyone in the United States is taught meditation at a kindergarten level, and then they do that all the way up until they're a senior in high school. What's to say, okay, maybe it's a little bit less. Maybe it's just not as much, because don't you think meditation and trying to lucid dream and improve that aspect of your life
find a middle way?
Doesn't it? But doesn't it better you because you're more in tune with who you are as a person?
And everybody should branch out. Everybody should branch out,
as opposed to just waking up, eating sugar, playing video games, going to work that you don't love or you don't like, and you're just doing all these things that you don't like, and there's something else out there for you, but you don't know what it is. But this is America, and there's a dream, and I can make that dream happen, but I don't know what it is because you're consuming all these bad things. If maybe you just meditated once a day for 30 minutes, and did that consistently for maybe a couple years, and you turn into a black belt in that subject, like, we don't even know who we are as a person. Like, we think we know. Maybe you trip some shrooms and maybe you get to know yourself a little bit, but then you forget when you wake up. Why not try and do it the natural way? And I feel like meditation is that.
No,
like
that's definitely where I would recommend starting out too. Like, you shouldn't just, even though I believe that like anybody who's watched this podcast knows my opinion on drugs. I think all of them should be legal. Everybody should have the freedom to do what they want to do. I think it's better for society in the end. But also at the same time, you should not just hop into, to have a psychedelic interpersonal experience, you need to start out with 4 hits of fucking acid. At a fucking slightly stupid concert out in fucking Canada, you and your friends drove like 10 hours too, and you expect some spiritual enlightenment from that. Like, that's not gonna fucking happen. It happens in weird places like that. And a lot of the time what meditation gives you is that reflection with yourself, and then it allows that.
But you and I don't. We don't even know what the potential is because we've never taken it to its fullest potential within ourselves.
No, absolutely.
And that's the craziest part about it, and that's
right.
That's what makes me mad, man.
I skipped some steps. You're right. I've skipped a lot of steps whenever it comes to that, because I've definitely, as far as my experience with like lucid dreaming or meditation, or, man, I don't even think drugs should be put in the same category, to be honest with you. Like eating shrooms and then having something, because that's
so.
Even though I get how you could piece them together, they need to be kept separate.
What would you do though if you could have those, maybe not necessarily the same, but close to the same effects by just meditating and not even having to take drugs?
No, that would be amazing. The problem is, you're your own kind of shaman. So if you're your own kind of shaman with just like meditating and trying to get somewhere, you know. You're really not going to be good at it. You don't know how to take yourself to the next level, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's why they have guided meditation and stuff like that, which I'm sure can be beneficial. But man, like, why I'm almost don't want to categorize it in the same way. Those drugs will force you into something else.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It kind of just like tosses you out of the fucking helicopter with no parachute.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And hey, figure it out on the way down. And you better fucking figure it out on the way down, is what it feels like. But you never really left the ground the whole time. You know,
that's a good way to put it.
Is that shit? But I'm not saying that's necessarily the way you need to go with it. It's different for fucking everybody.
Right.
I can't sit here and recommend fucking shrooms or even meditation, even though your meditation is like literally the most like Wonder Bread, white bread with peanut butter and fucking jelly, like entry-level shit into it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to die from a fucking Wonder Bread PB&J. You know what I mean? Well, unless you have a peanut allergy. That's a bad analogy. You know what I mean? It's the most simple, basic way to, like, get into it. But the results are gonna be a little minimal. You just have to put in a bunch of effort into it. It's really hard this day and age because we live in an inverse society. Like so the inverse of meditation is literally fucking Imager on my phone.
Yeah.
To where I'm reading a different article, you know, like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes of a completely different subject. I can't stay on the same subject. Oh, I just ran across this video of this fucking dog that I'm gonna watch for like 10 minutes. Oh, well, now it's, you know, this guy up in Norway who's like in his underwear skiing. Oh, that's super entertaining. Let me you know.
So that
it's just like
that's what trips me out.
Dude, but that's what I'm acclimated to. That's what a lot of people are acclimated to.
A lot?
I get meditation. I don't know if meditation maybe needs to be the balance to this, which is what people need to look for, and not so much like this enlightenment and self-discovery level thing, because you can still self-discover through other outlets.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a good balance between the two because of how society and technology has developed, and us as human beings really haven't developed along with it. And we're almost kind of on the back end of it, to where like our circuits are getting fried from all this shit that's coming in.
How far are we out before we don't have an attention span at all? Like, we're extremely close.
Sorry, what'd you just say? Say that again.
How far are we out?
That was the joke.
Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I found myself in that too, because when I first got into YouTube, one of the things I most like to do was listen to a podcast in its entirety, an hour long. And I still do that, but not as much because I do have kids. And if I didn't have kids, I don't know if that would still be the case. But whenever I'm at the airport and I got back from California, I was actually on vacation the past few days, and I'm just, people watching. And
that's a good point. So you have kids you need to take care of. A little piece of your brain always has to be dedicated to your kids whenever you're watching them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, they could be in the living room just like chilling and shit, watching Dora the Explorer. I don't even know if that's still a thing. Dora the Explorer, Teletubbies, whatever the fuck it is. But in the, like, you're like, okay, they're chill for like 10 minutes, and then you need to go and you're trying to do some research on something. You can still only give, like 75, 80% of your attention to that, because in the background, you're like, you're in charge of some people's lives.
Yeah.
I'm
okay. I'm okay with that.
So,
I mean, I could find the balance in that scenario.
Guess people have been doing that. People have been doing that throughout time. I guess I don't want to put that as that's a bad example. But that is an example as far as attention goes. You can't be fully attentive,
right,
to something.
That's something that's always existed for sure. That's always been in place whenever you do have, children that you do have to watch over. But what I'm saying is specifically what you just addressed is the fact that, man, our podcast is hanging on the limbs because of people's attention spans, because we do an hour-long podcast. We don't do the short clip videos like, the big podcasts do, because we don't necessarily have the time to make a 10-minute clip 5 times out of each video that we do. And I really want to do that because I know people are more geared towards 10, 15-minute videos, but we are losing the attention span for a majority of the population, because you have...
Well, we're just not big enough in general.
It's not even that, man. They're literally gearing. They're gearing towards. I feel like the big tech is gearing towards 30-second videos, 1-minute videos, because that's what's sexy to them. It's the safest thing, because you just literally, someone's dancing and does something funny, and then boom, they put it on. You put an ad on that, a 30-second to a minute video. There's no backlash. You don't have to fight for that.
For all we know, this could be the development and evolution and the integration between human and technology that is kind of running its course right now, and we're just kind of the in-between to it. To play a little bit of devil's advocate here, how do we know it's really bad if on an evolutionary standpoint, 300 years from now, they look back and they were like, oh man, this was happening, and it was probably really difficult for them to integrate to it, but is extremely necessary for life then, and we're just a stepping stone to the future. Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate. I don't want to necessarily call it evil, or wrong. That's not my place to say whether it's wrong or immoral or evil or anything. It could just be a stepping stone in evolution. And then maybe we just haven't adapted enough.
But what happens if
it's
not?
This.
What happens if it's not, though? That's one outtake of it. That's one look, and I respect that aspect, man. I truly do. But to watch human beings, and again, people watching, we live here in the Midwest, and going out to California and seeing it firsthand. That's where normally, like, California...
Is California really that fucking cool? I've never been that far west.
I mean, but it's like 20, 25 million people, man. Like, so you...
I just want an In-N-Out burger. That's all I want. I want In-N-Out burger.
Dude, it's not that good.
I want an In-N-Out burger.
It's not. Five Guys is way better.
And then...
Way better. Five Guys... Dude,
he's from the Midwest.
No. Whenever Carrie and I first got...
I had Five Guys today, actually. It's really weird. We've had 2 scenarios today that are really weird.
Synchronicities.
I literally had Five Guys today.
The first thing Carrie and I did, we got the rental car. She got the rental car. We dropped all our luggage off. We left the kids over at her aunt's house in Long Beach, and then we headed to Five Guys or In-N-Out. First thing we did. So in Cali, they're still not open to dining yet. It's only outdoor dining because they did lift the restrictions like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the drive-in lines at In-N-Out are insane. But In-N-Out did have, you could go in there, but it was like 10% capacity or whatever it was. So you maybe have like 10 people inside ordering.
They're how we were like 6 months ago, probably.
Yeah, a little more hardcore, because people still wear their mask when they're in drive-thru making an order, because there's a guy outside taking your order. So people still wear mask in their car. It's really weird, dude. A lot of people wear their mask in their car out in Cali. But anyways, go there, order the In-N-Out, and then I eat it, and I'm eating the burger, and I'm like, this burger's pretty good. It's good. It's good. And then I'm eating the fries, because you can get the fries animal style. That's like the secret at In-N-Out, is to order it animal style, which is literally Thousand Island dressing, melted cheese on the fries, Thousand Island dressing, and then caramelized onions.
Sounds fire as fuck.
Those are good. It is good.
You're not turning me off. I still want In-N-Out.
Hold on. But if you just order regular fries, they are hands down, the worst fries I've ever had from any restaurant.
Really?
If you order them just plain. and they're fresh fries. The grossest fries I've ever had. McDonald's, Burger King, way better fries. Way
King's
better.
Fries are garbage, and I like Burger King more than McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's is better fries than Burger King. Burger King is better burgers than McDonald's.
But if it's all, we're talking all hot and fresh right now is what we're talking about. In-N-Out is just, it's overrated in my opinion. We'll do something a little different, man. So what are your thoughts on, Mr. Ball on a great YouTube channel. This dude, he had a TikTok, 3.5 million subs or something like that on TikTok. He recently created a YouTube channel like 8 or 9 months ago, and he just tells stories. Literally, he just tells stories of like deep, dark, unknown mysteries, 411, all that type of stuff.
That's an underappreciated talent is storytelling, because having somebody who can sit down and captivate you just from their voice and telling a story is very much...
it's not, though, man. He's gained 1.9 million subs in like 8 months.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's an underappreciated skill. The dude's probably like masterful at storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, that used to be... Like, think about before, like, we had... Like, even writing, there had to have been really good people back in ancient times that were just really well at speaking and putting stories together and captivating people from speech. You know what I mean? Like, that's, I mean, you were in public speaking for a long time.
Yeah.
You could appreciate that within a sense, even though that's not in the same line of storytelling. But I mean, that is a huge skill to have.
It is
way underappreciated. Storytelling skills are crazy good.
It is, and it brings light to a lot of different things that have happened in the world that we live in. And in one specific instance, he talked about this guy who was on a vacation, and all the stories he talks about are legit. You know, he finds these legit stories that are actually real and blah, 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 all that. And I know that there could be some hearsay, but anyways, I'll just tell you the story. But there was this instance, they were in a mountain, I think. I can't remember, damn it. This is what's going to piss me off because I can't remember exactly where he was at. But they were at a ski lodge. And this guy and like two buddies, they were out skiing. And he's just like, hey, man, I want to just hit this one lift one more time. You know, you guys go do whatever you want to do. I'll be back. 30 minutes. No, don't worry about it. I'll be back. He's in his ski gear, got his goggles on, everything. And 30 minutes goes by, his buddies are like, well, man, this guy isn't here anymore. Let's go down to the hotel or the ski lodge, see if he's there. So they go down there, they see if he's there. He's not. And they keep looking for him. They send the search team out and all this shit, and they can't find him at all. He's gone, completely gone. His wallet's still down there. His money that's in his wallet, everything is still in his hotel room. And I think it was like a week or two goes by, and this dude calls his wife, and he is in fucking California. In California, still in his ski gear. And he calls his wife, and he's like, I have no idea where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me. Like, what do I do? And she's like, you need to call the police. So they triangulate his like position, and they find him, and they go and pick him up. Still in his ski gear. Still has all his ski gear shit on. Had a haircut. And a different cell phone, a brand new cell phone. And the dude didn't have his wallet, his ID, or anything. And he was like 2,000 miles away from where he originally was.
Drugs? Question mark? I don't know. This is the first
but
thing
how do you get on?
mind,
how do you?
No, that's crazy. If that story's real, or if there is some truth behind it, oh man, that's some weird shit. I would say, man, drugs, dude. You know.
But like 30 minutes and he's gone off the ski lift, and then he just magically is 2,000 miles away.
But not magically. It's like weeks later.
Yeah.
So obviously he still had that. It's not like it was that same night that he's in fucking California, because that would be fucking crazy. Then I'd be like, oh, well, aliens or some shit.
Right.
It doesn't sound like aliens. It sounds like, and I'd have to like know the dude's personality. Like,
But still in his ski gear and everything. Like, that's just wild. Like, you'd be in California, it's hot, sunny. And you're in your ski
I almost
gear.
Don't believe that at all.
It's a weird
It
story,
sounds
man.
real outlandish to me.
But there's a lot of those weird, extravagant stories that are just like don't make sense, but they happen on a daily basis. Like people go missing, you don't know where they go, and they just magically disappear in national parks and shit like that. Like the missing 411s, and majority of them happen in national parks or in forest and stuff like that. And I think it's just fascinating that you just have all these missing people, and for the most part, they end up dead. But luckily, some people do survive, and the stories are unexplainable. It's almost like the Bermuda Triangle a little bit. That these these national
Did you
parks.
not ever think back when you were a kid? So back like my first level of conspiracy theory level shit was like Bermuda Triangle, aliens, stuff like that.
Yeah, same.
And I'm like, why are we not addressing the Bermuda Triangle a little more? Like, why isn't this like a top level government priority of figuring out what the fuck's happening in the Bermuda?
There's two. There's
Bermuda
one in
Triangle.
One in the Michigan Lakes as well. There's an alleged triangle as well there, but
no, that just like motherfuckers in planes and shit. That their plane fucking gets found, like, whatever. I don't think anybody's ever, like, come back, but they find the plane, like, some weird time warp. Like, you hear, like, the testimonies of pilots coming through, and then, like, their sense of time, like, they've flown for, like, what was 20 minutes, but end up someplace that there's no way that they could have been there within, like,
right.
20 minutes. And all their radar goes off, like everything happens within there. Like, what the fuck's going on with that?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that the Earth is capable of magic just like anything else in this world. If a man is capable or a woman's capable of, and we were talking about earlier, David Blaine, the things that he's able to do and master, which is fairly impressive. I don't see that it's out of the ordinary that Earth could probably conjure up something like that as well. That's unexplainable.
There's some weird shit. There's got to be some weird shit, man. Like, well, not gotta be. There is some weird shit that's unexplainable, as of right now, to us. But that is what it is.
Yeah,
and the beauty is the mystery, because I think a lot of times it's probably the unsexy answer that you'll end up getting on a bunch of shit.
It doesn't always have to be that way,
man.
There doesn't always have to be an explanation. That's one detriment to humankind.
Like, do you think? Okay, like, what happens if we really break it down and we find out that simulation theory is correct and we're all just a part of a simulation? You know what I mean? Like, that's a super unsexy answer for me, even though that's a really cool conspiracy theory. That's a super, I'm like, oh, well, fuck, okay, all right. It doesn't devalue my life in any way. People who think that simulation theory devalues your life in any way, I'm like, there is really no difference than that from the massiveness of how everything is anyway, and how, like, finite or how infinitesimally small you are in comparison to everything. Like, what does that matter if we're literally in a computer program right now to, then a physical God created us, and this is something outside of technology that naturally fucking occurred. Like, there's no difference to me. I'm like, there's no difference. That's not a sexy one to me.
You got to think about the bigger picture.
You know what I mean?
You got to think about the bigger picture and what you just described, though, because, man, even in that scenario, if the simulation theory is real, you still you still have to contemplate the thought of what created that simulation. And Neil deGrasse Tyson would have, or even Elon Musk would have you believe the fact that it could be a simulation on top of a simulation on top of a simulation on top of a simulation, and so on and so on.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but I think it strays people away of really what is life, and no one really has the answer. And again, just people watching and observing, just people upon people upon people, I come to the conclusion of, like, we somewhere down the line we made a wrong turn. And I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. If maybe we all meditated,
I think that's impossible.
I think if maybe people made it, if people made an effort to maybe meditate or do something different, maybe it could have changed the course of history. I don't think it is impossible, man. We took a wrong turn somewhere. The amount of narcissism, the amount of egotistical people, and this includes myself, this includes me as well. The amount that we care about ourselves is absolutely insane. It is to a point of no return, Jesse. Because society right now, at least in the Western world, in the United States, this may be the greatest country to live in, of course, because the opportunity is astronomical on what you can achieve. But the amount of narcissism and the amount of ego within each of us is at a level that cannot be tamed or controlled. It's not, man. When you people watch, man, we were at the airport heading back to Kansas City from Las Vegas, and there were these two girls just sitting there. And again, it's how you're raised, blah, 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 all that shit. But these two girls, whenever, Finley just started crying, my daughter, like, she rolled her eyes because we were that close to her, and it was that much of an inconvenience that a baby was crying
like
right
on a
next.
Plane, on a
no,
plane?
No. We were just we were waiting to board the plane. We were in Las Vegas airport. And, there's hundreds of people.
Oh, so she is just
inconvenienced by a child crying. and rolling her eyes. I'm like, what the fuck? Where have we?
So she has never realized her own inconvenience upon everybody else that brought her where she is.
Right.
Unless it's like a momentary, everybody's done momentary shit that doesn't represent exactly who they are. Kind of thing too. And I always like to think the better of the person. So for this person, I'm going to hope for the better, like any other scenario, to where they just were in a momentary, like a bunch of other shit that is happening in their life that is equating to her rolling her eyes at a little kid crying.
Everything the kids were doing were annoying them.
But you have people who don't realize that they were a kid doing the exact same shit in their place in life and annoying the shit out of other people who might have handled it way better than what they're handling it now.
For sure.
Which makes them look
But that's where we are.
bad.
That's where we are as a society. Another example, and I'm sorry to do this, but we were on the plane, Phoenix, and we were heading to Cali, or no, we were heading to Vegas.
Females were irritated by this dude. Typically, females will hear like crying children, and then immediately like a mother instinct will kick in.
There's 3 instances on the trip that we went on with our children, and they are 3 and 2 years old. So of course there's going to be some shenanigans. I labeled the first one. The second one was when we were on our way. We had a 2-part flight from Cali to Vegas and from Vegas to Kansas City. And on our way from Cali to Vegas, Phoenix was, she's in her car seat because we took some car seats and we put it on the airplane. And she kicked the lady in front of her chair just a few times. And I looked out after the first situation. Phoenix had kicked her chair just a few times. And the lady turned around and looked at me and she's like, she's kicking my chair. And she just gave me this death glare. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll watch her from here on out. So throughout the flight, it's a 36-minute flight. 36 minutes. And Phoenix accidentally kicks her chair one more time. And she turns around and looks at me. And just gives me this look like she's kicking my fucking chair. And I'm just like, lady, I just want to be like, chill. She is 3 years old. She's barely kicking your chair. Just chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if I'm that guy and there's a kid kicking my chair, and I know I'm maybe 1 in a million or whatever it is here in the United States, because that seems to be what we've all came down to, is like, God forbid a kid kick your chair while you're in an airplane. That they have that, like, they feel the need to just turn around and look and be like, why would you do that?
This is also a place where a lot of wisdom starts kicking in here, at least for me, where I'm like, this person, it didn't have anything to do with Phoenix kicking the back of her chair. She is already so upset with her life in general, or what she's going to California for, or coming back from California.
Going to Vegas, yeah.
Going to Vegas. Like, she could be dealing with so much that you don't even realize, that she is just so highly stressed that it just takes small things to set them off as an individual, because it's not the chair being kicked that's necessarily causing that reaction. It's all of this other shit that you can't see.
That's just like an out,
that's happened in her life.
That's just an out, though, because and I know everyone's different, but again, then you have the third.
And some people are worse at handling it than others.
For sure, but when you're on the plane 4 times, and 3 of the 4 times you have an incident with your kids, and 3 of those 4 times the people react in a negative way, you can't necessarily say that they have something going on in their life that is bigger, that is making them feel that way and react that way.
Dude, they could fucking hate their fucking lives, man.
We all hate our lives, man.
That's not true.
Look at the yeah.
That's not fucking true. You don't fucking really hate your life.
Well, no. We all go through.
We just like our lives sometimes. We
all go through struggles. What I'm trying to say, and we all deal with it differently. But these people are dealing with it in a reaction that is just really not necessary, man, because whenever you get on a plane, you have to understand that there is a chance that there's going to be a child on the plane.
So let me ask you this. If that woman, right before she boarded the plane, somebody was like, hey, here's $1 million. Whatever you're going through, here's $1 million. Here's a fix to all your problems, basically. Not even money. Not even money. Just, hey, here's a ticket to whatever is happening wrong in your life. I could go down multiple avenues on this. But hey, here's a free ticket. Everything in your life is fixed right now. And she's like, oh my God, everything in my fucking life is fixed. My ailments, my relationships, my finances, everything's fixed. Yeah, here you go. She sits down in that chair. Do you really think that Phoenix kicking her chair a couple times, that she would turn around and act like that? No, she wouldn't give a shit, because she's like, I'm only in this plane for like 3 hours. Everything else outside of this plane is fucking fixed for me. It doesn't matter. Like, I've dealt all the relief has come to me right now. You could literally smack her in the fucking face. I mean, she might be a little abrasive, but then her brain would be like, oh, wait, no, everything's fixed in my life right when I get off this plane. All I have to do is finish this plane ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The origin of how she's reacting to the stimulus that's happening in her life. A minor fucking... I could get where that would be a little annoying. Being kicked in the back of the chair. First of all, Phoenix is like yay high, and she does not have the leg power to really fucking jostle another like full-grown human being around too much. No, it is other things. That's what I'm talking about. It's other things that's triggering.
But what you're describing is
she's literally waiting.
But what you're
for some shit to be upset about.
What you're
so many human beings in America are.
Yeah,
we're just waiting because we're not in control of. We're not in control of this. We're not in control of that, and everything's bad. Everything's fucking shit. I'm not in control of everything. This motherfucker. At least I can turn around and glare at him, and then you know what misery loves? Company. That's one thing that's always resonated with me because it's so fucking true. People who are miserable, they love being in company with, and spreading that misery around. Like, that's just naturally how human beings are. We're kind of pieces of shit for that. I'm not going to lie. I've done it. I've fucking done it. No, but that's where this stems from. It has nothing to do with any of that. Because like I said, if you were to solve all of our problems, just be like, hey, get on this fucking plane, and then by the time you land, literally all of your financial problems are solved, all your physical ailments are solved, all your relationship problems are solved. A little kid kicking her back in the back of the chair.
Yeah,
the whole fucking ride wouldn't even turn around.
I get that.
She'd be smiling, being like, "Oh my god, this is a massage on the way."
But
she's like, "This kid's giving me a lower back massage on the fucking way."
I don't want to take away
the fucking airport.
I don't want to take away
or on the way to my final destination here.
But I don't want to take away
it's perspective. It's all perspective.
I get that. And I get exactly what you're saying, but I don't want to take away the fact that you have these people who feel this way. And unfortunately, we don't have this magic person saying we're going to give you all this money and fix all your ailments. Like, that's not real life. So unfortunately,
you as an individual need to realize that your problems are your problems, and you shouldn't be fucking, because you're in a shit fucking mood, should not be like to the negative shit that's happening to you. Dude, I'm saying some shit. I am such a complete fucking hypocrite right now, because so many times I'll be having a shit day coming home from work, and one motherfucker does something wrong on the road. It mainly happens on the road. I don't have road rage. I don't like speed up and like start tailgating the shit out of them. But the words that come out of my mouth, I'm like, you stupid ass fucking motherfucking driver right now, fucking doing this. And I'm like, all I'm doing, it has nothing to do with how they're driving. It had to do with my fucking day. I had a fucking shit day, and I'm not expressing it to them,
right?
But like that energy is there.
Think about
that energy is there. That's like coming out of me in my car.
That's fine.
You know what I mean?
And everyone does deal with it differently. I completely agree with that. But whenever you're dealing with a mass population of 320 million people, we all have to get along. You deal with it in a respectable way, in my opinion. That you do it in your car. You release that energy in your car, where it doesn't affect someone else.
Okay.
And little do you realize, and I'm not trying to make this about me, but yes, I have an ego problem and a narcissistic problem, is the fact that I don't want to have to, on top of already being on a trip with two young children and how immensely challenging that is, have to deal with something like this and how challenging that is in retrospect. You know,
So you're talking about the blinders of society right now.
Yeah.
There's a big... No. America has created this vortex of it's all about you thing, and express it the way that you want to express it. You can be a piece of shit if you want to be a piece of shit. Overcoming that's very difficult, but that comes down to the individual, and there's no teaching that. Now, the only thing you have control of is yourself. So now you have this wisdom, basically having the conversation that we just had over the past 10 minutes about this. So the next time you're in a position and somebody's really irritating towards you, are you going to be the guy that sits back and opposed to doing exactly what the human in you wants to do and respond? Or are you going to start questioning the scenario to where you're like, man, maybe they're just going through a hard time right now, and I need to calm down and be the bigger person. It's kind of like being the bigger person kind of thing.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you have this great opportunity to take this information and actually apply it in the future. You know?
And I do deal with it in a different way because I have had instances where people
we work in the fucking service industry, bro. That's where all this wisdom fucking came from, or all this whatever the fuck. I don't want to ever call myself wise, but this is where I get a lot of my shit. I see it all the fucking time. I see it on a day-to-day. You see it on a day-to-day fucking basis.
We've all been pressured, man, and there have been times where I have broken, and those times were not very pretty in the way that I interacted with people in that situation. Is when I look back on it, like, hey, I probably shouldn't have acted that way. Maybe in one or two instances. For the most part, I feel like I'm pretty reasonable, and I apply common sense to the situation, and I handle it in a common sense way. Not lashing out or being negative towards that person. Have I done it? Yes, I have acted in a negative.
I had to do that so much in my life. I had to fuck up so much, and I had to learn hard lesson after hard lesson, and then slowly over time. Like, I feel like I'm a slow learner whenever it comes to like social wisdom experience level shit, because it takes me a long time to fucking figure it out, or at least it felt that way to me. Like, I still don't have everything figured out, but I feel like I could, in the right scenario, be able to like talk my way out of almost anything, because I have that general concept. I know that the person that I'm talking to isn't necessarily who they are. It's like momentary, and if you can be calm with them a little bit and take them down a level too, then they'll come down, and then you can work that scenario. You can't be their energy level coming back at them who's angry. Like, let's say she turned around and you were just like, I don't give a fuck about you. My kid can do whatever the fuck they want to do. You could have done that. You could have done that straight up. Guess what? We have this whole plane ride together. We get to butt heads this whole plane ride. And then guess what? She would have been amped up fucking more, then would have said more shit, then you would have been amped up more, and then you would have had this like precipice of just like negative fucking energy that would have eventually collided, and you both probably would have been like, okay, you need to change seats or some shit. Like high school level shit. But you're not willing to do that because you're mature enough to realize that that's where that's going to go. Somebody needs to put a fucking stop to it. Although there's a lot of people who are more than willing to let it go all the way there. You see internet videos of that shit all the time, to where people, there are no bounds to their anger. There's no bounds to how fucking big of a scene I can make. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's to where you're like, man, this is like momentary. Like, we all get to go separate ways at some point. Like,
yeah, I feel like for the most part, the population is right there in the middle. And then you do have the upper echelon, and then you have the lower echelon, who is, I mean, of course, that equilibrium
that comes
is there.
down to personality, and like I said, like what they're dealing with at the time.
I just can't get on with that, man. I can't get on. Dude, everyone's going through some shit. You can't take it out on other people. If you're going to take it out on other people, then, what the fuck are you doing in that position in the first place?
Blessed. You need to feel blessed in general that you can handle this scenario better than them. And it's being the bigger man kind of thing and letting it go. And because you have the perspective,
it's not even that.
Being the bigger man's always difficult.
I don't need to
be
a
bigger man's always difficult.
I don't need to be. It's not even that. I don't need to be a bigger man in that situation. I just literally look at Phoenix and say, "Quit kicking the chair." I'm not trying to be a bigger man because she's barely kicking the chair. So I'm like, at that point, I'm just like, whatever. I'm not trying to be the bigger man. For the most part, I live my life with common sense. There's no being the bigger man. I'm just living my life, dude.
Like, so me, like, and this is completely outside of the spectrum that you're living in. What I would like, me dreaming of that scenario right now, like if I was a father and had a little girl who was kicking the back of a seat, and I had a really negative response to my daughter kicking the back of the seat, and then I would have to deal with that harsh.
I almost took it out on her. I almost took it out on her, like being mad at her for kicking the seat, and I should
Phoenix?
never. Yeah,
Phoenix. Okay, yeah, you shouldn't do that. But once again, that woman's energy is coming off on you.
It was 100%
coming off on you. You got to realize it's her energy. You don't know what she's having to deal with. It's probably a bunch of fucking shit. You got a bunch of fucking shit. It starts building up, and adults, you get mixed up in this shit. You cannot do that.
Turn around.
What's really, yeah, no. What you should have done is been like, hey, Phoenix, can you apologize? Can you apologize because it's making her uncomfortable, and all this, and then be like, hey. Have her, like, without even the woman knowing, like, draw her a picture and, like, hey, I'm super sorry for kicking the back of your chair. I didn't mean. And that woman's heart might have fucking melted that day and just been like, and she might have realized, oh, my God, this is a little kid that I was angry at.
Very true. Very true.
And I was a fucking little kid.
Phoenix.
And then all of a sudden she remembers being a little kid and probably being fucking beat the shit out of, which sounds like any individual who responds like that to another little kid probably had a bad fucking childhood.
But just imagine, like, dude,
And
not everyone can do that in that
I know,
position.
but there's
we're at a point
way
where
to interact with
but
it.
we're at a point in time where we can't continue to just allow people to act. I mean, and I'm not suggesting that. I don't know what I'm not suggesting that people shouldn't. People need to be able to act the way that they want, and of course, freedom of whatever it is you want to do, that's fine. I'm completely okay with. But for the situation that you just described, there's no way that every little kid should have to do that in that position, in that time and moment on an airplane, because you're a kid, man. You shouldn't have to write an apology letter to a grown-ass woman because you kicked her chair a few times.
No, but the whole point.
I understand what you're saying, Jesse.
It's going to soften her heart.
But
you know what I mean?
Fuck that, man. Fuck that, dude.
No.
It should never come
You
down
need
to
a
that.
soft heart too.
I agree.
You need a soft heart.
I got a soft heart, man, and my soft heart will always be there. It'll always be there, but you
Okay.
should never have to come down to that level and
No.
just do that, man.
At some point, you can't be her and just let all this negative shit harden your heart. You know what I mean? You, at some point, have to break the fucking cycle and just be like, and be not in the sense of some, like, bend over little fucking bitch to, like, somebody who's gonna bully me. I'm not saying that, but recognize somebody going through, like, hating their fucking life and shit, and they have a hardened fucking heart, so they're just a piece of, whoa, shit, everywhere they go, this, like, troll of a motherfucker that just rolls around the planet, fucking complaining about every little thing that they fucking find, because misery loves company. I really believe in this. Misery loves company. Well, guess what? Fucking love and understanding also loves company. And you can fucking spread that shit too, and there's a way to fucking do it. It just takes a lot. It takes a lot more discipline. Think about it. It takes no discipline to be angry. It takes so much discipline to be peaceful in that scenario. And that's disciplined mind in that scenario.
I wouldn't even go as far to say it's discipline.
Takes patience.
Yeah.
Takes patience.
It does, and that's
you have kids. If anybody should be patient, it should be you. You have kids,
and that's what it was.
Like that,
I was very patient, man. I was very patient in that scenario.
Maybe.
I was very mad afterwards. I was very mad in the moment, but I was very patient, and I literally just put my hand over Phoenix's legs to where she wouldn't kick anymore, and I did that the rest of the flight. You know. Like, I mean, the patience is there. Like, I'm very accommodating to people who are going to get mad.
But are you going to do that again, though?
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that.
I would, man, because
do that shit again either.
But man, I don't like confrontation. Like, that's me. That's just who I am.
I don't like confrontation either.
In any situation,
individuals scare the shit out of me. Other human beings scare the shit out of me.
In any situation, I want to do what's going to accommodate the person that is not. You know, so I mean,
man,
it's just frustrating. Like that's where we've come to as a society, is that someone's that mad over a situation like that, and that's just one situation that could. Look at thousands of situations that probably happen on an everyday basis here in the United States that lead to death and murder and drug use and suicide, like all these things, man. Like this is where I'm saying, Jesse, I told you earlier, we went down a wrong turn, man. We went down a wrong turn. There's no way around it, man. The amount of alcohol
use. I was talking about inverses earlier.
Yeah.
This is the same thing that applies.
But dude, like the inverse is way outbalanced. The amount of suicide, the amount of people who are getting killed on a daily basis on Earth. The amount, and I know.
No, you're right there.
Like the amount of all these things that are happening negatively. The only thing that positive is happening is, yes, people in the world are fucking. They're having sex for sure, and the population is increasing. So there is some positive look to it. But here in the United States, man, like,
fuck, I don't want to keep doing the podcast. I have to fucking piss though.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the hour, man. I don't want to go much over because we're at like an hour and 11. So we're definitely right over an hour. So
toss it off because I have to fucking piss.
Yeah.
I gotta piss really bad.
I just think, man, like here in the United States, there's just a lot of negative things, man. But
I want to go down this road though. Like I don't want to end it there. I want to, because I want to talk about this, and I have so much to talk about this, and I can explain a lot of this. Like it's not so outlandish what you're thinking. It's what everybody else is thinking, what everybody else is feeling, and you could start to get to these roots of why things are the way that they are. And it comes from a philosophical end, first off. Morality, fucking second, in my opinion. Some people would switch the two. Philosophical views influence morality. Some people say the inverse or the switch between the two, but that changes a bunch of shit. I don't know. We need to save that for something else.
For sure.
But yeah.
We'll leave it right there, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked that podcast, man. Jesse and I hit some very interesting topics. The first 30 minutes was a little bit different from the last 30 minutes. I hope you guys like this podcast. Again, like I told you in the beginning, the best thing you can do is share this podcast, man. We're really trying hard. We're bringing on guests. Like I said, next week, tune in Sunday or Monday, most likely Tuesday. Andrew Holick's going to be joining Talk Junkies, the author of a few books, just specifically talking about lucid dreams and dreaming and meditation and yoga and stuff like that. It's a very beautiful thing, man. He's going to come on the show. Then then I'm in the works to have on someone who's going to maybe almost rebuttal what David Miano said last week with the Anunnaki. He's in the works as well. So if you could do anything right now, pour a lot of Parmesan cheese onto the like button as if it were spaghetti, and fucking hit that subscribe button after that, like you were at fucking Olive Garden getting that free salad, and I don't know, man. But anyways, do what you do, all our junkies out there.
Stay fly and ring the bell. I have to piss so bad.